Mr. Speaker, real life is quite different from television or political buffoonery. Half of gun murders in the United States go unsolved. Victims are too often left with no justice and their families with little support. Who amongst us believes that murderers or violent criminals should not be arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law? I pray, Mr. Speaker, that no one in this chamber really believes that, but today we will witness with our own eyes who actually wants to fund the police. I learned a long time ago, don't just listen to what they say, but watch what they do. As a former law enforcement officer, I vividly recall being on the scene of young people dead as a result of violence, knowing that their families would soon receive devastating news. We all know that there will be more families who receive those calls. I want to make sure that there are experts, trained and ready, who can help them through those horrible moments. Mr. Speaker, I saw as a detective sergeant, and a chief of police that violent crimes require a coordinated and professional response to ensure a word that we really need to get familiar with in this chamber, and that word is justice. We know that far too many police departments just do not have the resources they need to solve these heinous crimes. That's why I introduced the Victim Act. I've even heard one of my former law enforcement colleagues suggest that the Department of Justice has already provided enough resources. Let me be clear about what this bill does. This legislation provides additional federal resources for state, tribal, and local law enforcement agencies to make sure that our men and women in blue, remember back the blue, have the support they need to do their jobs, that survivors of violent crime have the support they need to try, Mr. Speaker, to rebuild. But this is not a blank check. This funding must specifically be used for the hiring and training of detectives and victim support specialists. Further, recipients would be required to regularly report how the money was spent and how it affected clearance rates for homicides and non-fatal shootings. The National Institute of Justice will evaluate these reports and see what works and see what did not work. We're demanding results, or at least we should be, because our communities are demanding results.
Time is expired.
The gentlelady an extra 30 seconds.
As the chief,
recognized for 30 seconds.
As the chief of police in Orlando, we were laser focused on reducing violent crime. I asked my colleagues who love to talk about violent crime, join us in helping to reduce violent crime, but we were able to do so because we had the resources to do so. This legislation is supported by the FOP, the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives, the Major City Chiefs Association, the National Policing Institute, and the National Association of Police Organizations. Colleagues, join us in backing the blue. Mr. Speaker, I thank you. Mr. Chairman, I thank you, and I yield back.